If you could imagine your ideal
We did it, everyone. We did it. We finally won one. We got the monkey off our backs, and boy, did it only take bringing in Roberto Valentino, the famous Argentinian, world-famous, world-class coach that can lead any team, even a team at the bottom of the MLS like Atlanta, to a road win. Some would say impossible to do in the MLS, to win on the road. But Rob Valentino figured it out. He led us to the promised land. Who knows how far we'll go, how well we'll end up at the end of his tenure. So, all hyperbole aside, I got AJ with me today. AJ, are you as jubilant, as happy, as excited for the prospects of a dominant possibly championship run this year with Rob Valentino?
Oh my God, this is a sign of good things to come, right? It's undefeated so far for Rob Valentino. It's just, the team is playing good ball. No, we're not quite playing good ball yet. It's I can't even keep that going for like a minute. We're still struggling in a lot of ways. There was hero ball here that saved this night, and but defensively we were stout, we were resolute, we took care of business, we kept Christian Benteke quiet, and massive saves off the line, not only by Guzan but also Derek Williams at the end of the match. I mean, the three-man back line, like I had predicted, really worked out. It was Efrain Morales, Derek Williams. That's what we were missing. That's what we were missing at the bench. Unfortunately, Noah Cobb and Luis Abram, they were bullied. They were bullied by Christian Benteke, but this time, I think we saw the errors of the past lives, and we were able to, at least from a defensive standpoint, figure that out. And on the road, this is what we're calling for. Hey, it doesn't have to be pretty, but you just have to find ways to win on the road. Like, I think that's enough to a degree for the first win for Valentino in 2024. But should we expect to see better play? I would hope so. But it was decent. Really trying to attack on the wings from the left, and then trying to be kind of incisive through the middle. But just what wasn't a banner day in terms of attack, but I would say that first half was a snooze. Second half was a little bit better. I think ultimately, Almada, he almost had that one chance in the first half. Nobody at the back post to finish it off.
That was infuriating. I mean, that is what we have Daniel Rios to do, and he did not do his one job. That's a tap in. That's what you need to be there for. You need to pounce on those rebounds. The commentators were in disbelief that we didn't have anyone right on top of that. I mean, you got to be able to see that.
Match, but I mean, that's it's still you want to see, like, if he's gonna keep his place, that's what you have to do. And
yeah, you got to be able to read the game that perhaps that shot is gonna get either deflected or rebounded, and at least put in a run. So if by chance it happens, you're there. But he was too late to get there. He started running, but he was too late to get there.
Right. To be fair, everyone's ball watching because Thiago Almada has that effect on people, but it still is. Yeah, I mean, you got to anticipate, and no one was there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think larger part though, I think the interesting bit, because I think I called exactly the lineup, but I think the way we played a little bit different than probably what I had hoped. Although the free roll a little bit for Shauna Silva, for Almada, it's one of these. It's like Shauna Silva, yeah, he makes some good runs sometimes, and also like he just gets himself in trouble as well. And I don't know. It's one of these like he's also kind of frustrating at times. But
I saw him pass at least twice, maybe 3 times, in extremely inopportune times, directly to the other team. I mean, obviously he didn't intend for this, but I mean, it was that and a couple of other players too, namely Dax McCarty. These guys were shooting out balls that were supposed to be like perhaps decisive passes that would cut lines, but they ended up being intercepted fairly easily and left us exposed. And at least at one point, one of Dax's balls, that could have been a goal very easily.
Yeah, some hospital balls as well that Braguzan had to really struggle to deal with. But
some people were mentioning the turf was a little worse for wear, so that could have maybe had something to do with it. But even so,
the court at Audi Field, they tend to kind of like they tend to have a little bit drier than other pitches, and because they're not that type of team that really relies on having to play the ball on the ground that much. So they realize, okay, most other pitches are super wet and allow other teams to play fast, which is not what they want. They want the ball to be put in the air for Christian Benteke. I think you noticed, like, when Benteke got the ball at his feet, can't do as much, and but he still got some chances. It's just I think we dealt with it a lot better, and had players at the back posts for those, and so I think the big plus side, I think, is this match we dealt with back post, any sort of attack or actions a lot better.
They just didn't get the kind of service they got last game. Like, right. I didn't see a lot of incredible balls from their wingers. Right to Benteke. So that was really nice to see. Didn't have to worry as much about that. It really just seemed like DC couldn't really get anything going, as if it was just one of those nights. Like, nothing was really working. They couldn't buy a goal. It was. I felt for him a little bit because I was like, wow, I feel like Atlanta's been in that spot fairly recently, fairly often. So, sucks, but, it happens. And typically we're not able to make much use when another team is floundering like that. But this time we found a goal, and that was all it needed.
Let's talk about this goal because, oh my God, like Thiago Almada, pretty much at the halfway line on the left wing. Pretty much, or like left midfield rather, but essentially skips past like 5 defenders. A little bit of a mazy run, but still kind of direct, and then just the shot from distance. It curls a little bit, but just hits so well. I mean, like that's what Thiago Almada can do. It's just kind of frustrating that it has to be, a shot from outside the box when it's like, man, like, I feel like the shot from inside the box, that would have been maybe the easier goal to get, but no. Let's go in difficult mode. Let's go in hard mode, and actually have to, score this type of goal to actually win the match. But they all count the same. But I think I'd rather see. I think I'd almost rather always see a team goal, because that means the team is firing more on more cylinders, and versus something that's hardly replicable.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. All right. So let me see. I'm going to get one of our guests up in here in a second, and while we're waiting on that, I'm going to pop in some of the stats real quick. Take a look at some of the stats from this game. Let me just change this real quick. So yeah, it was weird. I saw at the end of the game, they brought up on the screen a stat of like 2.7 xG for DC. Even the commentator said 2.7 out of his mouth. I didn't just read it on the screen. But then when I went to SofaScore and tried to find something to corroborate that, they're all saying XG of like, what was it? They said 1.2 for DC. Like, I don't know how that was so off, or so why that.
It's a pretty disparate error there.
Yeah. So I don't know who to trust, but I feel like the eye test was much higher than 1.2 for DC, but that's just.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's like nearly 3, but it's probably somewhere near 2. Which I think that's what's really interesting. There is a little bit of an echo.
I think.
Just make sure to.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's basically like, I mean, the last 2 chances by Benteke, and then there was another chance. That those 2 were pretty much like goal line saves. So. Yeah, those might be really high XG chances, but fascinating nonetheless. But yeah, Niall, welcome in. How'd you find tonight with our first win in the Rob Valentino 2.0 era?
Definitely a smash and grab win. It definitely wasn't our best performance. Funny that Almada was the one that scored the goal, because before that goal he had a pretty bad performance. It was the most frustrated that I've been with him in maybe a while. He just kept giving away the ball, and he just looked very sloppy. Like, players kept taking the ball off of him from DC. And he scored that goal, and it gave us the win. Obviously, it was a pretty sloppy performance, and it's definitely not a performance that's sustainable, or a performance that's like a really good performance. But honestly, sometimes you have performances, and sometimes you need to grind out results like this. No matter how good or bad you play, sometimes it's about just getting the win, even if it is like you're playing like a very dirty type of play, or if you're playing a really type of boring, kind of sloppy.
Yeah. Because it definitely was. I would say, sloppy is a good word for it. Obviously, I think that's kind of what Rob Valentino is wanting, is to play more direct. And so, when you are trying to play forward more often than not, and to a team that's not really used to that, I mean, they're going to struggle a little bit. And, on the road, okay, you can maybe forgive it for the the first time on the road, but I mean, I think what's also frustrating, obviously, is that Almada will miss the next match with yellow card accumulation. One too many times showing Fuerte patchy, so that's annoying. But whether he's actually going to be with the squad or not, as well, with the Olympics, that's going to be a whole other thing. So talk about not replicable, because Almada not being with the squad in the next game, we won't have this. So great. But how else did you find the match?
I thought Brad had a decent game. He made some saves that I didn't think he was gonna make. I think there was one save towards the end of the match where I thought the ball was going in, and he somehow managed to make a save. And I thought also Derek Williams had a pretty good match against his former club. He had a very good, I think, tackle towards the end of the match, and where it was like it could have been a DC goal.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Big block.
Defensively, I thought we were decent. It was offensively where we were not clicking. I remember the first topic supposedly. I remember in my mind just like being like, shoot the damn ball. Like we shouldn't have to like walk up the box. Yeah, I feel like the way that sort of sees scoring, but shouldn't be the only way. Like we're a direct enough team where we should be able to find other solutions by instead of just walking the ball into the net.
Yeah, I definitely felt like we were a little slow plodding, and I guess probably a little bit by design. We weren't trying to beat DC on the sprint or anything like that with our counterattacks. So that to me it was like a little frustrating because I thought like a faster team could punish them in these situations, but I didn't think we really had that. I mean, we clearly don't have the personnel for that, so I wasn't expecting to see like Zonde just bald sprint and beat someone down the line. But that was something I was a little disappointed in. But we still, it was still okay because it was building out from the back. What I thought we were lacking was not so much. I mean, yeah, the offense a bit, but like the translation from defensive midfield to center midfield to the offensive midfield, I thought that was lacking big time. Everyone was talking about how we were getting, it was honestly on both sides we're lacking. The midfield was just a mess for both teams. It was just chaos there. So many interceptions. Like, you couldn't hold on to the ball. They kept trying these, through balls and these breaking line passes, which, credit to them trying to be ambitious, trying to make something happen. But unfortunately, it just didn't work out like 99% of the time. It was frustrating to see that. For both teams even. It was strange to see just such a ineffectual midfield from both teams. That's what I think, AJ said. He's like, this first half was pretty boring. I think the midfield being stagnant was probably because of that. Let me look at some of the stats real quick before we go into any. We had 11 corner kicks. They only had 2. That one kind of sticks out. They were about the exact same amount of passes. They won the 54%. Oh, sorry, they had 11 corner kicks. We had 2. Sorry about that. And then they had 54% possession. We had 46. On SofaScore, at least, their expected goal is 1.2. Ours is 0.83. So we overperformed that, which is awesome. Typically, we don't. So, well, actually, that's not true. We do get a high XG and just don't score a lot. So I think I just said that. I don't know. Whatever. I just went backwards on myself. Any other interesting statistics? They peppered us with shots, but a lot of them weren't very good. No, there really weren't too many interesting statistics in this game that tell a story that are sticking out to me. So yeah, let's just go back to narratives. Niall, did you feel that we didn't do too many back passes to Guzan into our defense like Rob Valentino was trying to cut down on?
I feel like we did need back passes. For me, there were times where Guzan was put in bad situations. There was even a time where I think he had to come out of his box and really small passes. I think Dax, for example, he hit the ball backwards, and a DC player was able to get to that ball, and it could have. That's where Brad sort of get out, and it is with it outside of the box. So that's good there. I think the passing back to Guzan, I think it's gonna take some time. Unfortunately, because these players have been kind of programmed under Pineda to pass the ball. But as Rob said, that's gotta stop because it frankly just sort of slows down.
Yeah, especially there were some moments where Guzan, it's it's a lot to ask of him, and as well, it's thankfully he didn't take out the player this time when he headed it outside of the box. So that is a plus. But I think what's interesting is that we don't have, all three of our DPs. We only had one DP in this match, and yet we won. Huh. Interesting. It's yes. While we there is the whole 9+2 thing, there is the everything of those, but and what Pineda was really just not able to do was win when we don't have all our best players on the pitch. Huh. Interesting. But not to rag on a guy when he's no longer here, but that was a big argument for him. And yeah, first match on the road, Rob Valentino is able to solve that a little bit. I don't know. Huh.
Was he? Let me ask you guys. Do you think this was us solving that, or was this DC just not playing well?
I think defensively, we were very good. Yeah, I think that is something that's we can't always say that on the road. We figured out what we needed to do in this match in order to nullify their biggest threat, and for the most part, sans the probably last chance that Benteke had, like most of them were pretty tame. So, I will take that over the headed hat trick that we dealt with at the Benz anytime. So, yeah.
Before Niall answers, do you, perhaps the last game against DC drastically overperformed?
I mean, I feel like I don't know if they overperformed, because for me, I feel like I think they deserve to get a result out of that match. For me, I think that sort of loss to DC was sort of like a valuable lesson, because I think for this match, it kind of showed us what we need to do to make sure that what we did in the first match doesn't happen again. And I thought defensively we were pretty good. Benteke didn't really have that much aerial space, which I think is important, because last time we gave him far too much respect in that regard. Just defensively, we were a lot more sound. I think a lot of it has to do with the work of Efrain Morales, who had a great match, by the way. I thought he was tremendous and has once again showed his quality. So for me, I think just kind of learning from that loss against DC, I think kind of went well for us today. And we really, I think, took those lessons to heart.
So you do think that it's that we just figured it out more, and that it wasn't that DC was off their game or anything. We were going up against the same three, the hat trick Benteke system that they have, the same one, and we just defeated it this time.
I think it's a mixture of both, honestly, because if you think about it, besides Benteke, there's not really many players on that DC team that, frankly, I think scare you that much, besides maybe Mateus Click. But apart from that, there's not many players that I think really scare you for DC. So on that regard, I think that was part of the reasons, as to why. Because DC's, I think, talent is maybe a bit different compared to other teams, but then also at the same time, on our side, we definitely did things well defensively. So I think it's a mixture of both. DC definitely had chances that they should have taken, which is funny because this is something that we talk about with Atlanta. So, but this time it happened on the other side.
Yeah. I think you also have a couple defenders that defend the box very well.
Yeah.
And so you have Derek Williams, you have Efrain Morales, who both just they're operators in there. But I think on the flip side, that's where the difficulty is. So Nokop probably was the best on the ball of the three, but basically you saw that DC, they just kind of sat in a mid block, didn't press the center backs. They just kind of allowed them to once you play in the midfield, we're gonna actually maybe bring up that line of confrontation. But otherwise, that's why I think also it was difficult for us to build out anything, because Derek Williams, Efrain Morales, they're probably not, I would say, players that you would expect be able to start the attack super duper well in this league. It's just, kind of not their MO. At least so far, Efraim Morales. I mean, I think you saw moments where he just kind of nervously kicked it away, and I think at the end of matches, okay, but this was like during the match. This was like in the middle of the match where, I think, there's still some poise that we can see from them, but take nothing away defensively from them.
Yeah, they were playing. I feel like they were definitely trying to play safe, and that's to be expected when you're kind of rookie. So like, I get that. It's not going to hold it, against them. Niall, do you have any other thoughts about this game?
We got to get more wins that are ugly wins. That's the thoughts that I have. I think this match showed to me that this team can win ugly, and that frankly they have to win ugly, because these remaining matches are not going to be easy. But in order to get to the playoffs, listen, I don't care how well this team plays or how badly this team plays. In order to get those results, they need to get those results. At the end of the day, if this team gets wins, that's frankly what I care about the most. So this team has got to win more ugly. Many good teams in this league, they win ugly matches. Look at Philadelphia, for example. Look at even Miami. Look at all these top teams that you consider in the league. They all get ugly wins, and that's something that I think Atlanta has to do as well.
100% with you with that.
Oh yeah, it's not really worried about how you win at all. It's like right now.
Yeah.
Like, yes.
We don't have the luxury to worry about that right now.
Right. Once you get to a point where you're just winning, and it's like, okay, yes, then we'll be picky about how we win.
Exactly.
But anyway.
Gotta start with the basics first.
Exactly, for sure, exactly. Simplify it, and that's the MO, hopefully. But Niall, thank you so much, man. Always a pleasure. Speak to you soon.
All right, thanks, guys.
See you, bud.
See you.
All right, let's give us some of your comments, your critiques. Guys, we got 15 in the chat today. You guys are sleepy today. I only got one guy talking, really. Disc B in the chat. He's got 3 messages saying, wow, so happy we were able to hang on by the skin of our teeth. Guzan with the clutch save. That was the turning point where I thought we might actually hang on. Hats off to Rob and the team for finally being pragmatic and lining up specifically to counter our opponent's strength. Morales did great at keeping tabs on Benteke until the last 15 and fatigued. We need to improve and get goals from corners. Yeah, we have been very, very poor in terms of getting any production from set beats or dead ball situations in general this season. So
yeah, because last season obviously we had Juanjo Porata, but
Air Force One.
Yeah, this season you don't really have that big of a threat that can really affect things, and then also on the defensive side, we haven't been great either. But thankfully, at least in this match, we were able to keep them out. But true. Welcome in. Let's know your thoughts.
Good win. Kind of got saved by our talent there, but we'll take it at this point. Just getting a win to get us back on track is great right now. So it's good to see Almada get that kind of wonder goal that he's been chasing that goal for games, and he finally gets that one, and it'll suck to see him. That'll basically take him off into international duty, and we'll see if that ends up being the last time we see him play for us. So
yeah, because it very well could be. I mean, that is the possible bitter truth, unfortunately, and because if he balls out in the Olympics, I mean, somebody's maybe going to come in, and I think at this point he's been speaking to the Argentine media a good bit, TYC Sports, others, pretty much saying, "Hey, I want to go."
Yep.
And it's disheartening, but it is that's probably what it is. That's the reality, is that he's not a player that's long for this team anyway. We knew this when we brought him in, but Yeah, as far as other things that you saw in this match, what you like, what you didn't like?
Efren Morales again. I said this starting in like the first half when he got that yellow. Kid's gonna be a monster whenever he gets some more experience. The kid does not fear anything. He will get into any tackle, anything. Once he gets he gets the smarts and the tactical awareness of when to do things, he is going to be a problem. And you could see him battling with Benteke all game, especially during corners and everything like that. One thing I noticed is Benteke started shifting over towards Cobb's side a little bit more to try to get away from him, but whenever he was on Morales' side, he kind of got locked down, and that's huge.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting, I think those are great points. But yeah, you kind of jogged my memory, was that Morales played on the right center back side, and Noah Cobb played on the left center back side, probably to cut off the kind of cutting in angles from any other players, the wingers and whatnot, so that if they were able to kind of get in that way. But yeah, that's a very fascinating feature that Valentino set up there. And I think that's what it's like. It brings some real questions of like, man, like, what was the thinking behind that? Because I'm very curious. Because I can pontificate all I want, but what did you think?
I thought it was a smart decision. It kind of, because especially with how Benteke was basically bullying Cobb last game. On that side of the pitch, you kind of give him a different look on somebody that's a lot bigger, who's not afraid to get physical with a player in Morales. So it kind of gives him a different look, and you could see him start to try to shade over towards Cobb's side, but then you have Williams in the center there, and you kind of rub him out. In most of the game, he did not have too many crazy chances. He had a couple later in the game, but throughout the first half, for sure, he was kind of ghosting into spaces and just wasn't able to get onto the ball. So we did a decent job of cutting him out of the game, at least.
Yeah, because I mean, if I remember correctly, I think a lot of those goals in the last game came from service that landed in either far post or middle. He didn't really do near post as much. So we forced him to go near post. Maybe that's not his most comfortable spot to try and score from. So and maybe that also goes into why his service was, expecting him to be more far post and he wasn't there.
Yeah, very much.
Just the big brain from Roberto Valentino.
Yeah, possibly. Exactly, possibly, man. It's very well, like, the game plan, I think, was executed, from a defensive standpoint, and I think that's what you have to at least start with. Is okay, what's your foundation defensively? Be stout, and okay, then let's work on connecting the lines. Let's connect midfield to not only the defense but to the attack, and then after that, let's figure out who we have in our attack, and then what we can utilize as their strengths. And I think we missed a Saba this match, especially on the counter attack, because I think he on a one-on-one far more clinical. I think he on a service level from the wing as well, probably much better. It's just, because Sean Silva, it's like, man, I don't want to keep ragging on him, but it's just like that one-on-one that he missed. One part of it was too heavy of a touch, wasn't really a shot. It was just like on a one-on-one, you gotta do much better than that. That's just
and that one shot he had, what was that, like either in the box or right by it, where it just like landed to him, and all he had to do was put a good, place his body correctly and just get his foot on it, and it just completely flubbed. Like, that's the kind of goal you need to score. I mean, he scored not that kind of goal, but he scored a really excellent goal the previous game. You were hoping he could connect the production, but unfortunately he wasn't able to.
Yeah, exactly. And so, it's I think that's where you want to see some more consistency from Silva, and where he finishes the easy shots, relatively anyway. I mean, 1-on-1s aren't like a given, but I mean, his last 2 goals have not been high XG shots. They're not ones where you're like, oh yeah, he should have scored those. No, not at all. But this one, like, at least put a better shot on frame.
Yeah.
Not a little dribbler right at the keeper. But, final thoughts, Drew?
Good win. Sucks that we'll be without Almada versus going into St. Louis. It's going to kind of suck. But this will probably give Firmino his best run of games here to see what he's made of. And let's see what he can do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, Drew, thank you so much. Pleasure as always. We'll see you next time.
Night.
Night, buddy.
Good night.
All right. We're going to have 2 more guests. Our good friend Connor will be joining us next. And while we're waiting on him, 3 more comments. Let's take a look. Daydream Knight says, what Thiago did by getting that goal is setting an example of resilience for the rest of the team. He also goes on to say, if we were to play Saba, we would have to go with a line of 4 in defense. Fernandinho Ronaldo says, sometimes an ugly win with a wonderful stunning golazo is all we need. And that is all we needed this game, at least. So, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I would say not necessarily. I mean, I would probably play Saba over Silva. And,
agree.
Yeah, pretty much. If it's a 5-man back line, I think you have a player that can, I think, be more effective in a lot of ways. But Connor, welcome in. What's your thoughts?
Alright, so I mean, I'm happy. We finally got an away win. That was kind of just grind out the result. I like that, but I mean, we'll see where this goes. I'm excited. I think slightly worried it was hero ball, but I mean, sometimes in those kind of results, that's just what ends up happening. So I'm just happy that we won. I mean, honestly, but
yeah, for real. I mean, it's definitely not a match that I think people would have guessed, judging by the way it started. But
yeah,
what did you think of the match before that goal, and then obviously kind of how we finished it out? But
it was pretty dull in the beginning. I think definitely could see for both sides. Attacks kind of seemed like they almost looked like they were about to form really quickly, and then they just kind of petered out. The ball just kind of slowed down, and I think you saw that from both sides. I think the ball wasn't really moving well tonight. So I think we kind of got slowed down by that, and you even saw that with them. Sometimes you would see like they'll start to get the ball out wide, and the guy will try and dribble with it, and it just gets caught underneath his feet. So I just think it was kind of, in the first half it looked more so that way, and in the second half I think there was a bit more space, and we just kind of looked to not even move the ball. We tried to like almost skip lines more. I think that was a big thing for us in the second half, trying not get the ball on the ground as much and try and really transition and get in the space and then exploit that. But I was kind of expecting, after that first half, I was thinking 0-0 probably, maybe a 1-0, 1-1 game. I wasn't exactly thinking 1-0 just because I was like, from the beginning, I was like, they're going to get one chance, which usually happens with us. They're going to get one. And I think we were just lucky that Goose was on it tonight. And I also think we were kind of lucky that Benteke, compared to his last game, he probably wasn't as sharp as he I thought for him, by his standards, I thought it was a pretty, it was a great save, but it was also a shot that, I'm like, it's there to be saved,
I
basically.
mean, he didn't get
It
the
wasn't
service that
anything.
he got last time for sure.
That I think we were also more cautious. We were more cautious in this game. We were trying to not let them get into the game. I think that was a big thing last time. We got caught. We got caught in the spaces. We got caught sending too many men forward, and then they had all the time in the world to send in good crosses, which we just didn't give them that tonight.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that was
what did you think of? I don't know if you were listening to when Drew was on the show right before you. He had an idea, and I kind of ran with it a little bit. Was them switch, putting Efren in such a way that forces Benteke more to try and be near post with Cobb. Do you think perhaps that had something to do with lack of their pinpoint service and Benteke's lack of production because of that?
I think also just having more men in the box was a big difference. I don't necessarily know if making him. He had more people in the box, so it had to be a more perfect ball, which I think was a big thing. But I also just think we weren't allowing them to have the time to be able to get a good service in. And I think that was a big difference. And we also just weren't committing ourselves in a sense where we could allow the time for them to do it. I think that was the biggest difference. Putting a bigger guy on him was obviously the difference because he wasn't able to get free as much. But also, I don't think his movement was I didn't really think. Maybe Efren was just able to pocket him so much better. I'm not really too sure on that because I think he was. There was just something. There was more space. He got in more space last game.
Yeah, definitely.
Which we didn't allow for him.
I mean, we saw him AJ used the term ghost. He dipped in and out and left Noah completely in the dust a couple of times last game. This game, not as much. I didn't see to your point, the decisive movement he was making to Ghost didn't seem to really be there. But so I don't know why. Maybe like you said, he was pocketed or what have you, or maybe he picked up a knock while he's playing, and he just doesn't have the agility or something It's funny to think him having agility, but it gives him some movement ability to get away from Noah last game, and just wasn't here this one.
Yeah, I think it's also like Connor's pointing out, it's basically the service was cut off a lot better, and as well because we always had at least 3 men back. That kind of the ability for them to break at us where we didn't have somebody to cover some space that they were trying to take. I mean, it definitely just helped us not get exposed completely. Because how many times have we seen just us having 3-on-2 or 2-on-1, and it's just that just seemed inevitable that they were going to score in previous matches, not this match, obviously. And so it's, I think we, with the numbers that we threw in the back, I think that's what you have to do against, teams that play 2 strikers up top. And, that's how you keep that type of, a team that really attacks through one focal point. I mean, and we cut that off for the most part, and you kept them quiet. That's I think that's the goal. They found the maybe the tendencies, maybe we're trying to point out as well. So that part's good. But Connor, what else did you find?
I have a question off the back of that. Of we figured out what they did and we cut it off. Do you think that's a similar thing that happened with us and GG?
For sure, yeah. I mean, basically, GG, I think we know that he did have different ways of scoring, but largely he's still a target forward.
Yeah.
He's still a guy that I think other teams also got the book on him, at least this season, that, if you frustrate him, then, and at least cut off service to him, he's going to try to go deeper to find the game, and in which case he's going to expend more energy instead of hanging tight, being around goal, and it's going to be a lot harder for GG to score. And so the book always gets out, you know, the team or the league always adjusts, and it's, you know, that sophomore year, it's always how you adjust to how the teams adjust to you. So, you know, I think, yeah, they did, but I don't think Gigi wanted to stick around, and that's probably part of his problem is, you know, his sophomore years, it kind of starts to go awry wherever he is, and so, you know, if he stuck around a league long enough to, you know, kind of figure it out and, you know, be more of a player that can adapt, he may have stuck it around in, you know, in Europe, but alas, you know, but he still got a pretty big payday though, so
I think it's very telling that at Celtic, you're not going to stick around there and bag goals there. I think that's a big telling point for me, and where what I think of him especially. Like I know he came in and did a lot for us, but I think if you're a poacher and you're not able to get into that Celtic team and score a lot of goals, I think that's more telling about yourself than anything. But going back to this game though, I think I'm very happy with it. I am slightly worried for Saturday. I think we'll be all right. I'm expecting probably a draw on Saturday. I think we'll probably see us actually play like better soccer. Like I think we'll go more. We were being more reserved this game, which I think is one of the things that a lot of people were talking about earlier on, where they were like we're passing back a lot. I think a lot of that was because we weren't trying to commit so many men forward and give those kind of chances up. So I think that was a big thing, and I think we'll see in other games we'll probably commit more men forward and be more direct again. I just think we're trying to be conservative this game. So
it's an interesting point. But yeah, getting to St. Louis City on Saturday, yeah, I mean it's against a side that just lost at home. You know, a team that hasn't been very good at home, which is interesting because you know, City Park was such a fortress for them last year, but you know, this year they've just been anemic, and so they're ripe for the taking to a degree. But you know, our record on the road isn't necessarily where you can just glean confidence. It took a wonder goal from a person that's not going to be playing to get that win. So yeah, you know, I don't disagree. It's going to be a difficult one to win. Can it be a draw pretty easily? Probably, but yeah. But yeah, final thoughts on this match.
Final thoughts. Our Wonder Boy was back at it again, hero balling for us. Love to see that. Really good defensively. I was very surprised. I was kind of disappointed in this game by Cobb. I thought this is probably one of his, I won't say worst games, but it was definitely, specifically on the ball, I was kind of disappointed. I thought we saw a few times he had ideas and he just wasn't clicking with other people, so I'll leave it to that. And I think also we were trying to, the surface mixed with everything else of trying to play a certain way. I think we weren't as good on the ball as we could have been, so I'll leave it basically that for everybody. But I'm excited for how we're starting to play. I think we might be able to start getting wins on the board. I think once we have the team back, I think if we continue playing like this, I think we'll start to get results again. But until that time, we'll see what happens. So.
Right. It might be where, yeah, we have to play a little bit more boring for a while to just eke out results, because that's what it is. If you can keep a clean sheet, I mean, all you need is one goal, you know, and so at that point, you know, you can rely on moments of magic and your talents. I mean, that's how some of these other teams around the world, you know, really figure out how to, you know, play away and also beat better teams as well. So very much so. But also on your point about Noah, you know, he played on the left center back side where he, you know, it's not his strong foot side. It's also not where he normally plays. So probably a factor. But
I mean, well, let me add this into the mix, because while you guys were talking, while you guys were yapping, I was doing the research. I was looking up things, right? And I was trying to see if the guy who, if did Christian get assisted mainly just from one person in the previous game? And 2 out of those 3 assists came from Jared Stroud, and he's on the right side. So our left side defense did a hell of a job shutting down that service this game. So whether that be, it's probably a combination of Cobb and Wiley, so which is awesome to see. So yeah.
It was Wiley. Yeah, there was some interceptions, some blocks that he made, and he had to. It was and plus, they were showing him as one of the players that had ran the most in the match, and
I saw that.
It's just like usually par for the course, but it is also that is concerning as well because we don't really have cover. We played both of our wingbacks the full 90.
Yeah.
So yes, the Amador transfer rumor is definitely much needed. Hernandez as well. I mean, we'll need a lead on him, but also Edwards, who unfortunately we used his 4th short-term agreement, so that player won't be available unless we sign him to an actual contract. So we need to actually bring in wingbacks if we're wanting to persist in this type of that would be the most MLS thing, is that we can't play 5 men at the back because we don't have any cover, or because Wiley's also going to be gone. He's going to be at the Olympics as well. So it's, oh man, that's just, we're like, who's actually going to be playing is just going to be a mystery. Like, we fast.
I mean, maybe you put Derek Williams at left back and just invert him and just make him so, but then you're then that just completely, that just
I don't
feel
all to play a midfield.
maybe a Luis Abram, but even him, he's not quick enough to
No.
It's every left-footed option we have, I'm ugh, I just cringe at it.
Absolutely. Yeah, we need a player like Amador, super quick, and also some cover for him because just these games are coming too fast.
Mm-hmm.
And, not enough players, but appreciate the thoughts, man, and we will speak to you soon.
See ya.
Take care, Connor. All right, let's see. We have our last guest hop on. You know her, Jennifer, from the 5 Takes. She'll be on here shortly. Let's look at some of these comments here. We got a couple more. Sokotep says, "What's wrong with Celtic?" I don't know. What is wrong with Celtic? Daydream Night also says, "What are your opinions about Argentina versus Canada at the Benz tomorrow? And overall, thoughts about Copa America?"
Yeah, I mean, Argentina versus Canada is going to be probably one-way traffic, probably. But you never know, depends on who's playing. But it seems like Messi will play, so, should be fun. The whole Argentine circus is in Atlanta and the rest of Georgia, so, it's lovely to a degree that we're getting to experience this from the World Cup champs. So, can't complain there. For Copa America, I mean, tough to make predictions, but hard to see not the favorites winning. I mean, it's probably going to be Argentina. They're still stacked, and anytime you have Messi, it's just hard to bet against him. So.
And USA tied Brazil, so that's bad news for them.
Indeed. So, Brazil, Ronaldinho is running out a little bit. Obviously, he walked that back a little bit, and he was like, I'm still going to watch, though.
Yeah, that was in the moment. We get it,
Yeah. I mean, we get it. Yeah. What is this? What is this whole show about? It's about reacting in the moment. So, Absolutely, we get it, Ronaldinho. If you need some people to commiserate with you, and having some not knee jerk, but definitely some heated reactions. I mean, we're right there with you in that sense.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and if anyone knows him, let him know. Come on the show. We got a spot for you. We'll get to hear what you have to say.
Indeed. But yeah, Jennifer, hop on in when you get the chance.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how are you? It's been a minute.
Yeah, what's
Been a
going
minute.
on?
Yeah,
Not
it's been-
long. I'm so stoked for Copa America tomorrow. I did one of those things where it's like, oh, I bought tickets thinking I might try to sell them, and then they didn't sell. So woohoo! I get to go see Messi play tomorrow. So I am not mad at that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I guess play of either you sell it for big money or you see Messi play ain't too bad.
No.
It was
It's
a
a win-win.
win-win. It was a win-win circumstance for real.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's an insane lineup, and for me as a Tottenham fan, I get to see Lo Celso, I get to see Cristiano Romero, who's one of my favorites. Love the man; he's a freaking beast. And I mean, it's not like Canada's a schlump side. I mean, you get to watch Alphonso Davies, and I think Maxime Crepeau is one of the more underrated goalies in the league. Even though he does play in MLS, so, I mean, it should be an entertaining match, if nothing else, and. It's also the opener, so there's a lot of pageantry and, I don't know, some pregame concerts, and there's a rumor floating around that Shakira might show up, which would be super dope.
Wow.
Interesting, especially for not a Colombia match. But hey, you know what? It's
Messy. Yeah.
I can't remember the Colombian pop star that is actually confirmed performing. It's like Fareed or Frade, or I don't know. I should follow more Latin music than I do. But the guy's won like 13 Latin Grammys. Like, he's a big deal in Latin America.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So,
it's that's a little bit of, I guess, the balance between, okay, Shakira is the more global star, and then Fareed is,
Fareed, that's his name. But yeah, so
Well,
and I think it's interesting because Jason talked about what Copa America is on his podcast last week in terms of just like the size and the scope, and he's not wrong that because most of us don't speak Spanish, it's not something that's necessarily been on everybody's radar, but for basically the rest of this hemisphere, it's the Super Bowl.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's a big deal for sure for a lot of footy fans. But America, it's just a different beast here. There's so much to contend with, and it's just tough for, I think, most of the fans to really understand and get that, the scope and importance. But
you still have to spend time explaining, like, why you take these international breaks and what are these, quote unquote side hustle tournaments are. And what do you mean you're playing in a tournament this week and it's League Cup or it's US Open Cup, and why isn't there a league? Like, people don't understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. But as far as this match, let's talk about this match.
Okay. This is the kind of win I've been waiting for all season.
Mm-hmm.
I said at the beginning of the season, the thing that we needed to be able to do is to grind out results. And that's the thing that we haven't done all season, is grind out the result and see a match with that really didn't have a whole lot in it. Like I mean, the first half was boring. It was a snooze fest of like, what are we even doing here, and why did we bother to show up tonight? And it was one of those things where it was going to be a fluke situation that was going to win this for either team because, let's be real, we're not in good form. DC is in just as bad of a form as we are. And it was going to take some sort of weird, it could have been one of those matches where, it was a bad call again, or it was somebody tripping on that crap that passes for a field at Audi Field. It could have been somebody rolling around on their head and, oh my God, poor Morales, who almost got caught with an own goal trying to make a block. Like, it could have been something like that decided this. But, teams on the rise, teams that are in better shape, they find ways to grind this kind of crap out. And we did that tonight for the first time, in, I can't remember when the last time was that we had like a real gritty win.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'm right there with you, because like while I was watching this game, not only like I was not exactly like falling asleep, I was nervous because yeah, it was a boring game, but it harkens back to so many games that we've seen already where Atlanta United doesn't really get going until they concede a goal. And I thought that we were going to get some kind of junk goal against us, like you kind of were alluding to. And then we would all of a sudden be like, oh crap, 80th minute, we need to get started. And then they start playing. And then all of a sudden our XG goes up by like 0.5 and we're going nuts. But we just can't find the equalizer. I thought that was 100% going to happen after seeing what happened in the first half. And it just put me on pins and needles. And then when we scored, I was like, what?
Yeah, on that, it pretty much almost did happen if not for the offside call.
Yep.
So that might have been the wake-up call a little bit for LA United to be like, okay, yeah, that was pretty close. Let's not actually let that happen. But because it wasn't that far away from when that happened that Thiago Almada had to take over the game.
And I got major beef with that offside call because what I saw in the middle of that was 3 guys standing in the box with their hands up, waiting for a whistle instead of playing to the whistle. And they left whoever, I can't remember who the DC player was that actually put that in the net. But yeah, they're standing around waiting for a call. Well, what happens if you don't get that call? Yeah. Why do we keep switching off when we expect these refs to do things? Like it's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing that it continues to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very, very much that. There's some laziness. There's a little bit of ball watching, and it's just a product of just not enough urgency in defending, not enough players sensing the danger enough. But luckily it didn't hurt us this time. But
yeah, I mean, I could be off the reservation here, but it could also be something like they have this victim mentality as well, that for the longest time calls haven't been going their way, junk balls have been going in, and the narrative has been, oh, it's happening again, and luck is just not with us. And then they think like, oh, this is crap, like some bad call doesn't go their way, or they think they're being cheated in some way, and then they throw their hands up, and then they stop paying attention, and then they get hurt, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy at that point. It's very frustrating to see.
Yeah, attitude is definitely a big part of anything, but
Jennifer, I had a question for you. What about how did you think? So none of our guests tonight have mentioned Brooks Lennon once, and he almost missed a sitter today because of accidentally almost bumping into Tristan Mayumba in the box. How did you find his game today? Is he still, clearly struggling to be relevant on this team at points, but did he make any kind of progress to get back to what he's used to being?
I feel like his service quality was a little bit better tonight. I was watching Thiago take that one corner, and I think I made a comment in the Discord about oh goody, another set piece that we're going to do absolutely nothing with. And of course, that's the one he hits the air ball on where he was going for an Olympico, or I don't even know what. I think they're just grasping at straws on set pieces. I do think defensively Brooks was really, really solid today. And there were some other people, I think some of your other fan cam people were commenting about the way that we were able to shut Benteke down, and wasn't something that we were able to do the last time we played DC. And I think Brooks's defending this match was definitely an improvement. He wasn't leaving gaps, and I think his ball quality was a little bit better. I think it's really hard for him to develop service chemistry when you've got a revolving door at striker and you've got a revolving door at wing. Who's he putting the ball to? Consistency. And I think going forward is for more of that pair mentality, where you're working in pairs, where I think surprisingly Dax and Tristan have really good chemistry together. I think they work the midfield really, really well, and that's a good thing. I think Noah Cobb and Derek Williams are a super solid center back pair. I think they've worked, with, obviously it would be more ideal to have Stian in there. I think he'd be more of a threat on set pieces if he was because of his size. But I think given the fact, that Stian hasn't been super available this season, I think Williams and Cobb are a good pair. And I think Brooks needs to find his pair, right? I think that's really the problem is he doesn't have somebody that he's consistently throwing the ball to get the production where it was last year.
Yeah. So the partnerships, exactly. It's basically, across the pitch, it's, there's a lot of chopping and changing. And I think, you bring a great point about Dax McCarty. I think it's his veteran, experience that has essentially just shown through and through. I mean, yes, he put in a hospital ball for Suzanne, but otherwise, I mean, he had a very solid match, I think.
It was like 2 or 3 of his passes that were pretty lackluster, but it also, like you said, could have been a bit of the pitch as well. But
yeah, but I think when he and Muyumbo were trying to essentially either keep ball or try to kind of progress up the pitch, they were working well together. It was almost, dare I say, it was almost telepathic a little bit at times. So, it's not bad. It's really not bad in terms of comparatively to what we've seen. Is it championship quality? Probably not yet. But we'll see. Obviously, it's I would err to say that it's definitely not. But there is progress in midfield, at least.
I was just gonna say I'll take progress, not perfection at this point. Like,
oh yeah,
I think, and maybe that was part of one of the things that's been hamstringing us for the last couple of months is that constant looking for perfection, right? That constant got to get exactly the right ball in the right spot, and not just take the shot and see what happens, or not just make the pass and see what happens, right? I think when you look at the way that we were playing before with a lot of possession for possession's sake, that we created absolutely nothing out of 56-60% possession. This match we lost the possession battle, but we won the war, and I think it's very telling about the overall style of play. And I think that was really underutilized the first part of the season, like for most of the first half. And I don't know what the hesitancy was to bring him in, especially if this is the kind of relationship that you're seeing from a Muyumba Dax pivot. Like, you had to have seen that on the training pitch. Why weren't we seeing more of it on match days?
Well, on the flip side, I think it was more Bartosz Slić, we were betting him in, so definitely a big player as far as what we were trying to probably implement and make sure that our backline was shielded. And I think it was the case where Bartosz Slić didn't really have, I would say, a lot of bad games.
No,
I would say it was everything else really. A lot of times it was the lack of connectivity between all the other partnerships, I would say, because Slić and Muyumba, I think, have worked decently together, but I would say maybe it's the on the ball stuff that maybe just hasn't looked like McCarty and Muyumba. But I this is kind of part of what you have to figure out. Like, what are your best partnerships, and then collectively, how do you get the best out of the team? With the players that are performing the best. And so, if Slić, and Muyumba, if that doesn't work, well then, competition for places. Then, once we have everybody healthy, whoever's playing the best should play.
Yeah.
I think it's more of a bring him in to shut a match down. Bring a guy in who knows how this league works, knows these players better, has had much more time. I mean, literally, how many 20 seasons of learning how this league works and how to win those kinds of matches, right? It's not a knock on Bartosz's play. I think Bartosz has been really, really good. And I think the more he plays here, the more he buys into, and I think MLS is the league that's like perfect for his style of play, because it's physical and it's, you know, elbow bumpy and it's not as fast. So like it's built for the type of player that Sleesh really is. But I think for us as a team, having somebody with Dax's experience, especially if we're having to play younger defensemen and younger players on the wing because of depth and injuries, I don't know that veteran presence for the last, 15, 20 minutes of a match would have been valuable.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think we're kind of spoiled right now with our, number 6 position. We got some pretty good guys there, so that makes me happy to see. Let's read a couple of these comments while we got Jennifer here and see what she says about them as well. Daydream Knight says, "Come on, guys. Football is about low odd upsets. Uruguay could make it. Colombia could make it. Brazil is still Brazil, and the U.S. could finally get a win, maybe against Bolivia."
We'll see. I mean, yeah, I think it's probably one of the big South American teams that are the favorites, obviously. I mean, yes, in any competition, anything can happen. But, if you're going to put money on it, you're going to put money on Argentina or Brazil or Colombia.
Yeah.
I think no lie, I would absolutely love to see Colombia come in and really make a great run. If for no other reason than the Colombians throw the best parties.
And they beat us 5-1, so we could just say, well, they're the best. So
yeah, it does make us look a lot better.
So Gavin,
I'm kind of sad we don't.
That was our argument for last year, right? Columbus Crew.
I'm kind of sad we didn't draw a Colombia match at the Benz, because if my experience at the Women's World Cup had any kind of parallel to what goes on here, I mean, that was some raucous, incredible atmosphere going on in there. Like, just full stadium singing and the costumes and the outfits, and it was unbelievable. So like, I mean, it's just that's the kind of thing you want to be around as a supporter and as a fan. Like, that's like something when we host the World Cup. Like, I'm super looking forward to hopefully maybe getting a Colombia match here, just because the party's going to be off the chain.
Yeah, we got to ask Henry Aguita about that, our resident Colombian expert. So, so Gavin says, "Hey guys, solid win tonight." And Bryson Cicero says, "Sub guys, know I'm late, but thoughts on Gigi saying, here it is, in the MLS, losses don't matter, as if we aren't pissed here after every match." Yeah. So what do you? I was like, I didn't know we were gonna get. It's the hot topic. I didn't know if someone was gonna say it in the chat today, but they did. So since they did, what are your takes?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of these things. Gigi's not wrong, but it's also contextually, it's important what he's actually talking about, because, okay, I think there's nuance to what he actually means. Is he calling out his teammates? Is he calling out the league? Is he calling out Atlanta United? It's unclear. It's unclear who he's actually talking about. But if he's talking about all of them, I mean, I think there's some aspects of it where you've seen some players on the team give up, or not give 100%. If we're talking about LA United, have we in the past 5 years shown this unwilling desire to win at all costs? Not been the case. We brought in a lot of I would say mediocre or less really type of talent that doesn't move the needle, and kind of this complacency with kind of what the status quo is, instead of trying to push for kind of changing the league again like we did. And as far as the league, 100%. I mean, you have like 60 to 70% of the teams make the playoffs. I mean, that just shows how much that when they deprioritize essentially a lot of games and play during international windows, and also pretty much with the number of games that are on weekdays, like, and this is regular season matches, not Champions League matches, not US Open Cup matches, but regular season matches. It just deprioritizes any of those games that are away. Just punt those. It's just those things that happen in MLS. So to a degree, he's not wrong.
Jennifer?
Ooh. So, the league that we live in is the league that we live in, and the league is designed to appeal to a audience that isn't used to consuming soccer. So, no, is MLS the best league in the world? Absolutely not. Is MLS a top 10 league in the world? Probably. Is it the second best league second or third best league in the hemisphere area that we're in? Maybe. So yeah, I can swallow that. What I cannot swallow is the absolute just hypocrisy of Gigi as a person. And I think that's what a lot of my friends are really disappointed in. A lot of people in the soccer universe are really disappointed in. I've never seen a DP player or a player of the caliber of Gigi leave without, I don't know, talking to the media, saying thank you fans, making an Instagram post, doing something that at least acknowledges, hey, you came in here, you sat down at a press conference, you took number 7, which is pretty damn sacred in this town, and said, yeah, I'm taking this number because y'all are going to fall in love with me because I'm going to score you all these goals. And then you go on Spellman's podcast and you talk about how, stability and this importance, and like Atlanta was this city that you wanted to raise your kids in, and you bought into everything that was going on here. And then you sit down at a press conference in Mexico and tell us all to go fuck ourselves? No.
Gigi strikes me as the person that he will use his bravado and say what he needs to say to win over the new fans of the team he's going to be playing for, because he's done it a lot of times. He knows what he needs to say in order to win over those fans. Now, will he always leave, kind of with glowing reviews, or leave acrimoniously? It's probably usually the latter. So
I think I would have less of an issue with it if maybe he hadn't spent 50% of his time here riding the fucking pine.
Yeah, for sure. And for sure, he's a player that's divided opinion, especially this season. Last year, obviously a little bit different, but still, yellow card accumulation was maybe the biggest culprit last year. But he's obviously a player that's didn't love his time here. That's why he left so abruptly and quickly. I don't know if I don't think he got a lot of hatred from fans before the rumors started, because a lot of people were clamoring for him to possibly take the armband. But
yeah. There were a lot of that was the bravado and the swagger that he bought. And again, I think that's why there's a lot of us hurting about these comments and the things and the lack of, and the lack of just any sort of acknowledgement, right? Yeah. That what we think matters. And, I have a tremendous amount of respect for Big Ange, who was his coach at Celtic, who benched him. And that's one of the reasons he left Celtic, is because before Ange left for Tottenham, he was not getting the playing time. And that's one of the reasons he wanted to leave Celtic. Was to come to a place where he was going to get playing time and he was going to be the man, and Big Ange was not letting that happen. And I remember thinking when we signed him that, and after the first few matches that he played and seeing his production, his performance, I was like, man, did he have the peg wrong? And I don't think he's a man who has poor judgment in player character and development. He's done a great job at Tottenham for the last little bit that he's been there. And now maybe I'm thinking he was onto something, because it happened the same. It happened the same way in the Eredivisie for him, where he came in and he won the Eredivisie Golden Boot, and then he did absolutely nothing and wound up getting the deal to go to Celtic, and then he goes to Celtic and he scores goals for the first season, and then he didn't do a whole heck of a lot. He came here, he scored a lot of goals, and then spent half the season, more than half the season injured this season. So, I have no disrespect for somebody trying to cash in, right? Like, I get it. He's got a family to take care of. I don't begrudge him chasing a 4-year deal where he's getting paid a lot of money, guaranteed money, and he's got a family to take care of. I've got no issue with that. I have an issue with basically blowing a lot of smoke up a fan base's ass, especially this fan base.
Yeah, I mean, Cruz Azul has a massive fan base as well, and I think he realizes that. And he's got to, say something to kind of appease them as well coming in. So,
I mean, he's got a track record of this. I mean, if you recall, when he left Celtic, he basically said that Scottish Premier League is not very competitive. Almost as if he's saying it's not a very serious league. And that's kind of what I was hearing a bit from his comments, reading between the lines, in the Cruz Azul thing, saying, it's like, oh, MLS not very serious, because it's okay if you lose in that league. It just seems like that's his modus operandi to move to the next club, and it's not so much specific to the club that he's talking about or the league he's talking about. I mean, because Celtic is a good team. I mean, Atlanta United can be a good team. He just wasn't at certain times when he was here. I mean, my take on it real quick is that perhaps, and I don't know if this is true, a little bit of mind reading or whatever, but I think that it's very possible. Like, if I'm going to take, his words is like kind of the worst way you can, because I mean, honestly, how does he not see how his words can be like misconstrued if he's not careful with them, from potentially hurting a fan base, like Jennifer's alluding to? Like, that's not well said or whatever, if you want to maintain a bridge, right, with a fan base. So I guess I would say something like, he perhaps heard, if I'm going to take his stuff literally is what I'm saying, like, he perhaps heard from the team, the club, and maybe his teammates and players in MLS, that it's like where we are right now, like floundering, lower bottom of the table. It's okay. We can come back. We can recover from this. It's not all doom and gloom. We can figure it out. MLS is a very forgiving league. It's okay that we're here right now. We will get out of this together. That the narrative that Atlanta United likes to say in the locker room and things like that. And perhaps he kind of just was like, this is not how it could be like this. Like I said, I'm mind reading a bit, but it could be saying, if you wanted to make the not serious argument about a club, you could say that about us, and that we didn't really make serious changes for a while that he was here to try and fix some of those issues that in perhaps a club like Celtic or a big club that he wants to be a part of might do, that indicates their quote-unquote seriousness or competitiveness. Like, why isn't this team, ripping up the chairs in the stands or flipping out in furiousness and all this kind of stuff? Why isn't the heads rolling? Why, like, perhaps that's in his mind, the stereotype of a serious club, and we did not meet that standard, and he thinks perhaps he'll find that at Cruz Azul. I don't know. Like I said, it's a bit of mind reading, but I could see it's possible that he was getting fed up with people saying it's okay with how we're doing right now. Probably didn't like to hear that.
Yeah, I think it's great points, man. And it's also, he'll get that in Mexico. That's for damn sure. Especially Cruz Azul fans. Yes, the amount of people that will be up in arms if he misses a sitter, if he misses a chance, it's gonna be life or death over there, and he'll hopefully enjoy that, and maybe it motivates him more. Will I be following him very closely? Not really. I won't probably care, but ultimately, GG, he gets his big dollar move. Great for him. If he didn't want to be here, which he didn't, great. Let's find people that want to be here. And if you don't want to be here, please leave.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want you.
Oh, quick question for both of you. Is this, so obviously he did well for us very much last season, not so much this season. Would you consider this to be like, I mean, obviously we made money on him coming here and then flipping him, but would you see this as like a very good Carlos Bocanegra signing for us? Would you add this in his absolute win column, or is this like more of a gray area kind of signing for him?
Is this
because we wanted, Garth indicated that we wanted someone to stick around a long time, right? And we thought we identified that in this player, but clearly we were mistaken.
Is this the asterisk of also Garth Lagerwey as well? Because Garth Lagerwey and Carlos Bocanegra versus Carlos Bocanegra and Darren Eales, that's a different situation. And, from the comments of Garth Lagerwey wanting a longer-term player that we can build around in his prime, well, that was a failure. He didn't want to be here. So, ultimately, you brought in a good player, but if he doesn't stick around to actually bring you any success, still isn't.
Yeah, the goal was to find a franchise player with him, and we just, unfortunately, it didn't work out. But you could also say no one predicted Cruz Azul would be coming with the bag like that. Anyway, Jennifer, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna disagree with you both on this one, because I do think, from a signing and business perspective, it was a win. Absolutely win. He was the right player to sign to the deal that we signed him for. And we signed him for, I think it was a 3-year deal with an option or whatever. What had to have happened here is when they started talking extension, given the amount of injuries he had, signing him to another 4 years, basically his last big contract with 4 years of guaranteed money, would have put us in the same situation that we were in with Joseph if the injuries kept happening. And he had an injury history before he came in here, and I don't think it would have made logical sense to lock up a player who had not proven to be durable for that kind of money. In MLS, your DPs have to play or you don't win. Simple as that. If your DPs can't stay on the pitch for extended, or spend significant time on injured reserve, you're basically screwed here. So I don't think, and then in comes Cruz Azul with a wad of cash and a 4-year guaranteed deal because, let's be real, salary restrictions are very different in Liga MX. And, I don't see how you don't take it. I think had he been healthy, had he continued on his production pace, I don't think it would have been any sort of discussion other than how much and when do we sign. But I think when you throw in the injury history and what happened with Joseph, it's very clear that Garth does not want to be saddled with bad contracts that take a lot of maneuvering to get out of.
Yeah,
the last 2 seasons, season and a half, getting us out from under a whole bunch of that.
Yeah, to be clear, I definitely don't disagree with you. I was kind of like floating that out there as kind of a thing that could be the case. But yeah, because I honestly the idea of whether or not you can consider GG like a hit or a miss, I think is business-wise absolutely a hit, no doubt in my mind. But if you're trying to find a franchise player, we got to go back to the drawing board. But it doesn't hurt that bad because we got a lot of money out of it. We just have to, like we said, maybe put our aspirations of winning a trophy on hold a little bit longer again, and before we can get going, because Garth has to get back to the kitchen and cook some more. We were hoping it was almost done, but it might be a little bit longer now. So yeah, I completely agree with everything you said, Jennifer. I do believe that this was the right move for all parties involved. And if this happens again, I think we do it again. It just makes sense. So I just hope in the future when we go after a player like this, we're able to figure it out in such a way that when Cruz Azul comes knocking, we don't sell, because I don't like having to reset every 2 years or so with your number 9,
Yeah, and so it's great points all around. I think the main bit as well, though, is to not only with the talent identification, which is important, but also with the person, which I think is more important here, because Giakoumakis came in with that bravado. It was refreshing because it was what we were clamoring for after Joseph left, but ultimately he was a player that and personality that maybe ultimately was not the best fit, and considering all the things as well that you mentioned, Jennifer. But I think it's that bit that is super important that maybe we need to do better on, is making sure that the person that we bring in into the team is a culture fit, is a person that we can build around long term, and not just a person that, things go awry, he's just, I'm out.
Yeah, I want the guy to say, this is my Real Madrid, and then mean it and be here for that. Anyway, sorry, Jennifer, continue.
No. I was just gonna say the like I said, that's why I feel like this whole thing is a bit of a betrayal, and I wonder if the rest of the squad doesn't see it the same way, because I'm gonna go back to that stupid frickin' Twellman podcast.
Yeah.
Where he said all of those things in that podcast in March. Literally everything that you just said you wanted to hear, AJ, he said. Mm-hmm. He said that. And 3 weeks later, his ass is fucking out the door to Cruz Azul. What the hell?
Yeah,
I mean, so that's the difficulty, obviously, in finding the right personalities and culture fit. But it also is, that's what the scouting is for, is to, you don't just listen to it from the horse's mouth. You ask other players. You ask coaches. You ask, hey, it's kind of what we did with Jose Martinez. Obviously, there was a conversation with Darren Eales to Joe Hart, and Joe Hart gave a glowing review of Jose Martinez, and those are those types of things. It's like Joseph was fighting for the team, when he wasn't even playing, and that's a massive difference to how Yorgos Giakoumakis left. It's insane, the differences, even though they're very similar in some respects of how fiery they are, how much bravado they have, but it's just one of these things where we need to scout better in those aspects. Otherwise, we're gonna if this happens again, I'm gonna be very upset. I'm gonna be very upset at Garth Lagerwey and Carlos Bocanegra if he's still around.
That's going to be I think that's an interesting question to ask in a month or two after the transfer window. We'll see what happens, because I don't think there's been a lot of vote of confidence coming out of corporate speak land from the front office in that regard. But, I do have some faith looking at the talent that we have and the types of players that we have to build around right now. I do have some faith that the scouting department at least is much improved. We've got a much better analytics system in place than we did, 2 years ago when we kind of had to start looking at this process. So, the reality is, for everybody that you lose, there's 3 more kids coming up with the growth of the game. And, the right player is out there, but it's still, in some respects, catching lightning in a bottle. I mean, look at Shaqiri.
Yeah.
I think Shaqiri is a prime example of that. The man just set a record for, scoring in World Cups and Euros, and he comes to Chicago and does absolutely nothing.
Well, that's been his entire career, I think, anyway, is that his club career, nothing to write home about, but, his international career is, definitely a little bit better, and, if not really great, actually. But, I think that's the education that he came up with Barcelona. And so it's a little bit where that is the case. But, if we shop in, some different, areas like that, I would not be remiss if we didn't start looking in, the Catalan academies, and
I'd love to see us go after some AFCON players. You're getting a lot more talent coming up from AFCON. I would love to see us maybe go after some of the Asian leagues. I mean, Korea's been developing really, really strong players. I think the Japanese Premier League has definitely been improving. There's some you want to find talent gold mines. I don't think it has to necessarily be Europe, or it doesn't have to be specific parts of South America. I think we can be creative in the way that we have been, to work within the confines and constructs that we have. I am kind of sad we missed out on the Giroud sweepstakes, because at the time Giroud was available, we didn't need him. But I would have been nice to have that level pretty again on the team.
But we still have possibility of Anton Griezmann coming, so that's Henry Higuita tells me he'll never let that go until it is done and dusted. That is his hope.
Until it's not possible, yeah, right. I know. Yeah, no, it's all the ladies around the world. Yes, love Olivier Giroud. It's just a given. And if it add more fans to LA United, if that was ever the case, if it was ever on, man, that would have been hey, good business for LA United. But no, LAFC, of course, they get that added bonus now.
But I don't think we're ever going to be, a retirement team like a last stop team. I don't think that's Arthur Blank's vision for this team. I don't know that Arthur Blank, unless it's somebody like a Lionel Messi, and Giroud is, for all he's amazing, he's not Lionel Messi. But I mean, you're talking it's got to be a Messi or an Mbappe kind of guy coming in here. I think that's the only way they would ever sign somebody like that. I think otherwise they're still going to be looking at talent in their prime or developmental talent, with a lot with a big ceiling.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if it's really Arthur Blank. I think Arthur Blank can be convinced and, sold that idea. I think it was because Darren Eales and, kind of what we were able to achieve with a little bit more roster balance probably early on. I think now, yeah, you kind of need that shot in the arm. You kind of need some of those things. I can see him being convinced.
It's easy as this. I mean, let's say next 3 years, you get teams that are they are characterized by having these old timers on their team, and they win the cup. Then they're gonna, Blank is gonna look to his people and say well, why are they winning? Well, they have those players. Why? Maybe we should do that same thing then, if that's what's apparently getting them. So that could be an easy way to persuade him. But
it doesn't.
But how many? I mean, I'm gonna ask you a question. You're the one with the computer. How many cups did Beckham win with Galaxy?
I think he won 2 or 3. Yeah.
It's different league talent-wise, but I'm just curious, did that win them a cup? Because Zlatan did not win them a cup.
Yeah, Zlatan. Yeah, no, he didn't. But Zlatan's LA Galaxy was a lot weaker than what Beckham was dealing with. Because he had, I think, Donovan at that time. I think Robbie Keane also at some point.
Oh wow! Okay.
So he has won 2 MLS Cups and 2 Supporter Shields.
Yeah. And I think Kobe Jones probably was there too. Yeah, it was. Yeah, that team was stacked as far as MLS is concerned. But
all right, so it's getting a little. AJ is getting a little late, so I'm gonna ask one more question that I'm dying to ask you guys. But before that, I'm gonna read these last 2 comments here. Okay, so actually there's 3 of them. Bryson says, I agree with all that was said about the ATL players, the organization, and the MLS. I think there is a large amount of fans that would like change, leading to every game matters. Sadly, the people in power for MLS will not sacrifice many for a better structure. And then Amy Anna Marie, thanks for hanging out with us. She said, seriously stab me in the heart about GG. You can't say, thank you fans, with a picture and move on. Fooled me, and I do want to see someone wearing a 7 for a while. So I agree with that. And my question I posed to both of you is, do we see a potential Felipe Cardenas tell-all article with an interview with Yorgos Giakoumakis coming out?
It's possible. It's very possible. Whether Yorgos Giakoumakis is going to agree to it is a different thing.
Seems like no love lost with him, so what does it matter?
Right, possibly, but I think...
that's hella fuel for Leagues Cup, too.
It might be, yes, exactly. I think there's got to be a reason why. Otherwise, I don't know if he's going to be able to get that interview. Right.
I guess you have to assume there is a reason, there is a there for Felipe to even care, so...
Right. Which I think he would. He's citizen, I guess, of Atlanta, and so I think if there's some sort of thing to kind of report on his hometown team, which this is the truth, that he came up writing for Dirty South Soccer, or at least a couple articles, and then got the job with the Atlutd. I think he very much was following LA United from the beginning. So yes, if it's an article for one of the biggest fan bases in MLS, yeah, it's gonna get clicks. So yeah, I would say.
I mean, just his press conference alone is driving quite a bit of eyes and people talking about it.
Yeah. So I think it would behoove him too. If not him, somebody. And so there's definitely that. And if he does, then Felipe Cardenas send us a thank you card. Yeah.
For the idea, yeah. Jennifer.
Yeah.
I think it's certainly in his wheelhouse, and I think it certainly time frame wise would create some more intrigue for Leagues Cup, which as a tournament it sorely needs some sort of intrigue and storyline telling, because there's just no drama between MLS and Liga MX, right? Like, and there's no natural drama. This is, I really think, one of the first instances of natural drama. And you have this. You've also got, Brandon Vazquez and his success in Monterrey. So you actually have some compelling storylines to discuss. So yeah, I think it would kind of behoove him to dig into that a little bit more, especially considering how up in arms Atlanta is right now about it, and also how much clickbaity we are. We'll click on anything that mentions Atlanta because we're all just like praying and hoping to be, I think we all miss being those assholes that everybody hated.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Like, I think we all miss that terribly, and it's no fun to go onto the socials and, not see people hating on us because we're good and see people hating on us because we're getting what we deserve for being that fan base.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even know if we're getting that much hate. It's really just indifference right now, which is worse, actually.
Well, I think there's a lot of people that are gloating at our current state of affairs.
Or misfortunes at the moment, yes.
Yeah.
And
There's a lot of people enjoying some Schadenfreude.
Yeah,
I
can
never
see
get
that.
to use that word enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, this is the thing. It's not like the teams that really would enjoy it the most are not doing well themselves.
Yeah,
so,
thank goodness Orlando's struggling.
Exactly. So them, Philadelphia, maybe, maybe
Everyone's having a good time at our expense.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think the only team, and I think they've stopped caring a long time ago, New York Red Bulls, and I think so have we. So, it's I think the teams that again do care don't really have much to say. It's just like they're just like, oh yeah, you're sinking too. Okay, great. Well, we're both the Titanic. That's a lot of fun. Yeah. So it's I think we do relish, though. Yes, agreed. Being the evil empire, the Yankees, essentially, and the earlier that we can get back to that, the better, because
Yeah, I mean, I think, believe it or not, Taylor Twellman said it best that a scary championship competing Atlanta United is very, very good for MLS, for the league in general.
Oh yeah, it brought a lot of attention to a lot of things, and because every time we broke actual attendance records, then it was like, it's a global thing. Our successes have always been a good thing for MLS in the global scale, and once we can get back to that, I mean, it puts like, imagine if both us and Inter Miami are good, right? It just makes a better league.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
We'll get there. I still have hope.
yeah.
I still have hope. I'm not as jaded as my tweets have sounded.
yeah,
I think we can get there. It's
right.
just
Well,
the pain. The
exactly.
pain.
It's the pain and the struggle that that makes the whole journey worth it, right? But it is still, though, it is tough. It is tough to go through that pain.
Yeah.
And,
But hey,
I'm
at least
glad
we have all
got
you
it.
fine folks to commiserate with and whine and
Exactly.
moan and,
Oh, yeah.
drown our sorrows.
That's right.
Absolutely. And on that note, that's a great spot to probably wrap up the show. So, yeah, Jennifer, final thoughts for tonight.
I hope we can do it again in St. Louis. They're in a team that's in just as bad of a shape as DC is, and maybe we can, take advantage of that. And oh my God, dare I say it? 3 road wins in a row.
Oh my God, yes, that
It's a thing. It could happen. It could happen.
It's possible. That's the beauty of it, and
It's possible.
Yeah, St. Louis again. Like I said earlier, they have not been good at home, so they're rife for the tanking.
Yeah, it's funny. I saw Atlanta United posted after we won, and they said another, like road W or something, like another road dub, and I was like, slow your horses. It's been 2 in like 1,000 games, okay? Like,
But that's the maybe it's tongue-in-cheek comedy. Who knows? Not exactly sure, but
yeah. At this point, the social media people have to have a sense of humor after going through all this with us. So,
Yeah. Well, let them have their fun.
exactly. Yeah.
Let's enjoy it. We get to have a nice weekend. We get to have Copa America opener tomorrow. We get to celebrate the fact that we can walk into the Benz with our heads held high because we won a freaking match for the first time in like 2 months.
Yeah. Yeah. We made another fan base sad. That feels good.
Yes, it does. Enjoy my Schadenfreude, DC.
really good. Well, Jennifer, thank you so much. Thank you as always. Pleasure as always.
Thanks for having me.
Have a good one tonight.
All right. See y'all later.
See ya. Take care, Jen. All right. Well, let's get your last comments in. I think we got 13 of you guys hanging out with us. I know it's late. Thank you for sticking with us. We will be on here for maybe another minute or so get your comments in so we can see if we can catch them before we're out of here. AJ, do you have any final thoughts for today?
I would say, yeah, I mean, tonight is not a banner night, but it's progress, it's defensive solidity that is a good foundation to begin with on the road in Rob Valentino's second tenure as interim head coach. And so, it could have gone a lot worse in some degrees, and I'm glad that it didn't, and that it did get us 3 points. So no complaints really, except for the complaints earlier in the show.
Yeah, except for all aforementioned complaints. So, so my final thoughts on this are, it will be very interesting to me if Atlanta United is able to pull itself out of this rut, and the only thing they had to do was drop Gigi. That would be very interesting. If somehow he turned out to be what was the poison in the soup. So, no idea how that's even possible, but I'm just saying it would be fascinating if somehow that's the variable, that's the lever that's switched, and all of a sudden we start doing well. I mean, it could be really interesting. Obviously, we got Valentino in there too, Roberto. That could also be the special sauce, which is potentially possible. So we'll see if that actually happens. But I mean, this is step 1. We've accomplished step 1 of our getting back on track, which is getting a win, and it's an away win, so it's even tastier on top of that. But as long as we can put one foot forward in front of the other, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling better because, like you were saying, progress is being made. So as long as we're on the right path, I'll be all right. But resets, regressions, not learning from wins or not learning from the mistakes that we have in a game, that's gonna make me fall back down to we're still wallowing. We haven't really started to make progress. We're still kind of stuck. So hopefully,
and it's not going to be linear completely.
Right.
There's going to be some bumps in the road.
Yeah.
But it is still though. You want to see them, like you're saying, learn from the transgressions, learn from the
Like
errors.
stopping Benteke from scoring a hat trick on you. We learned that. We did.
Yeah, exactly.
So we are capable of learning.
Yeah, it's insane. It seems simple to some degree sometimes, but obviously, it's not always the case, and that's again why games aren't played on paper. But yep. Any final comments in the chat?
Let's see. Yeah, we got one last one. Fernandino says, "Is there a fan fest in Atlanta tomorrow for the Copa America?" I haven't heard of one, but hey, listen, if you join the Discord, there's a chance that we will be able to find that out for you, and we can post that in the Discord if the one does exist, because inquiring minds want to know, and we have some people in the Discord who can find that information out for you. So yeah, join up, and perhaps we will get that information out. So
yeah, and there probably is as well. It's kind of near the stadium. There's always that kind of corporate fan area right before you walk into the stadium. That does have a lot of events going on. So and if not, well, you got to the stadium early, and there's still a lot to do. So.
And if you're just in the city, I have a feeling you're gonna see the Copa America people just all over. So it's like you're at like a con. So you'll see them run around. So it'll be exciting for everyone to see the city all. It's like a little preview for World Cup stuff. So it's awesome.
Yeah, I'm sure if you drove down Buford Highway, if you stopped at Plaza Fiesta, I mean, yeah, it's gonna be nuts. So it's gonna be a party, no doubts.
Yeah. All right.
Well then, yep. Everyone, thank you so much for hanging out, chilling with us late into this Wednesday night, and for Michael, I'm AJ. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. We will see you in the next video. We will not have a podcast before the St. Louis game. We kind of previewed it a little bit with a little bit of the comments beforehand. But just too many games are coming too thick and fast that we don't have the time, unfortunately. But we will see you in the next post-match live reactions after Saturday's match. So, guys, we will see you soon. Good night.
Good night, everybody.